Well, we've got a problem here with people who are living in the streets, camped out down in the rail corridor and living under bridges. And we've actually had them sleeping in our law enforcement center lobby and in the lobby at the jail.
I know that the study that was done not too long ago showed that homelessness has increased 170%. And so that's a concern. It should be a concern of everybody in Bemidji, and especially people in positions of leadership.
What we learned was that we were unpleasantly astonished at how bad the need for housing for homeless people is in Bemidji. It's not only single adults, it's kids, it's families, and I've been around a long time, and I've done a lot of work in a lot of different communities, and this is probably the greatest need for housing that I've seen.
We have a long-standing, pretty significant need for providing shelter for homeless people, and there's been multiple efforts over the years to try to address the problem. We have developed some supportive housing for families. We have some shelters. We have people that provide other kinds of services for people on a short-term basis. But what we were really lacking are two things. One is supportive housing that can serve the single adult population. And secondly, a niche within that is the ability to serve people that have problems with consumption of alcohol or chemicals that we simply don't have any options for folks that have those kinds of issues.
We decided that we would look at building some housing here in Bemidji. And we went to Minnesota Housing, and we talked to our friends at Minnesota Housing and said, you know, this is like homelessness on steroids in Beltrami County, and something needs to be done. And shortly thereafter, the leadership at Minnesota Housing decided to have a dialogue up here. And they had the dialogue with people like myself, service providers, and those kinds of folks. But the meeting before the meeting was with the community business leaders, and they heard the same song from those community business leaders. So it really validated what we had in our needs study, and I think it really legitimized the fact that the community wants to see a solution to this problem. Park Place is going to be a permanent supportive housing apartment building, and the keywords there are apartment building. It will be 60 units in 2 wings, but in addition to the apartments, there's a program that goes along with it, and that program really will focus on helping chronic alcoholics stay housed. There are very emotional benefits to doing the kinds of programs that we do, and we feel really good about those. But there are really also very economic benefits to the community. And so when we've done these projects, most times we have bilateral support from both sides of the aisle.
I think the taxpayers need to hear. If we can stabilize people's lives, this makes everyone else's life a lot safer too.
The supportive piece means to the constituent means that there's healing. They want this actually.
I think the concept behind supportive housing is the fact that none of those things can happen if you don't have a safe place to live first. And so this is really the model. It's providing housing first and then wrapping around all the services people need for success secondarily once they have the stability from the shelter.
Housing is the foundation for success for our folks, and once they have the housing, then they can work on the other things, and it might be sobriety, or it might be reconnecting with their family, or it might be getting in to see a primary care physician. But if you're out on the streets, those are just insurmountable hurdles.
I have to say I'm incredibly proud of the Bemidji community for the level of alignment that we've reached on this project. This has been an incredibly positive experience trying to make this project work. People have really come together and worked really hard, and it's amazing the kind of work that can get done when everybody's on the same page and pulling in the same direction.
We have found that even though it's expensive to build a building like this, that the return on investment is huge to the communities and to the services in those communities and to the taxpayers of the state of Minnesota.
If you can imagine being given the keys to an apartment, to being able to call yours, it's the ownership there.